The FIA just dropped a bombshell that has split the Formula One world right down the middle. While drivers like Charles Leclerc are warning they'll have to forget everything they've learned about driving, the sport's governing body is telling them to basically get over it. But here's the thing, the data reveals something far more dramatic than anyone's admitting publicly. These 2026 cars won't just be different, they could fundamentally break everything we think we know about Formula One. Let's start with the numbers that have everyone panicking. According to Nicholas Tombazis, the FIA's single-seater director, these new cars will be between 1 and 2.5 seconds slower than current machines. To put that in perspective, that's not just a small step backward. That's potentially making F1 cars as slow as they were in the early 2000s. But it gets worse. Charles Leclerc, a driver who's been racing since he was 4 years old, made a statement that should terrify every F1 fan. He said drivers will have to forget from whatever we've learned in our careers, to start again from a blank page. Think about that. We're talking about erasing muscle memory built over decades of racing. Lance Stroll went even further, calling the new regulations way too artificialized and warning that F1 is becoming too much of a technology-driven competition rather than a driver-focused sport. When even Stroll, often criticized for his driving, is making compelling arguments about the sport's direction, you know something significant is happening. And here's where it gets really concerning. Fernando Alonso, who's witnessed every major regulation change since 2003, admitted that tracks like Spa and Suzuka are not going to be as exciting as what they are now. When a two-time world champion with that much experience expresses doubt, the implications are massive. But wait, because what the FIA said next reveals they might be missing the point entirely. The FIA's response to all this criticism, Nicholas Tombazis essentially told everyone to calm down. He said he's surprised by how much emphasis is put on the actual lap times, and believes that once drivers and fans get used to it, it actually doesn't matter. His logic seems reasonable. On the surface, he compared it to stepping out of a simulator into a slower car. Initially it feels wrong, but after some time, you adapt. The FIA spent years preparing for this transition, learning from the shocking 2014 regulation changes, when Mercedes dominated due to superior preparation. Tombazis even dismissed concerns that F1 cars would become as slow as Formula 2 machines, aggressively refuting these claims. According to him, if that were truly the case, people would have to say something about it. But that's not the case. The governing body also points to innovation as a positive. They've created a 50/50 split between internal combustion engines and battery power, pushing technological boundaries. Some aspects even sound promising. Toto Wolff mentioned that when full power is deployed, cars could approach 400 kilometers per hour. But here's what the FIA isn't telling you about why the drivers are really worried. The real issue isn't just about lap times, it's about what these regulations represent for the sport's identity. When you dig deeper into what the drivers are actually saying, a disturbing pattern emerges. Philippe Drugovich, Aston Martin's reserve driver, described the experience as feeling like you're sitting on a rocket when full power deploys. But that rocket-like acceleration comes with a massive catch. It's completely artificial. The cars will have more torque than ever, but only when the hybrid system decides to give it to you. This is what Lance Stroll meant when he criticized the artificialization of the sport. Instead of letting drivers have natural feel and control, everything becomes managed by technology and pit wall commands. The adrenaline and pure competition that define F1 get replaced by remote-controlled precision. Charles Leclerc's comment about starting from a blank page becomes more ominous when you consider what he's really describing. It's not just learning new techniques, it's potentially losing the instinctive, raw driving skills that separate F1 drivers from everyone else. Even Lewis Hamilton, who's typically optimistic about change, revealed something telling. While he praised the innovation, he acknowledged that things have become more and more intricate as the years have gone on. That's diplomatic language for increasingly artificial and complex. And here's the part that should worry every F1 fan, because this isn't just about 2026. The timing of this controversy reveals something crucial about F1's direction. We're not just talking about one regulation change. We're looking at a fundamental shift in what Formula One represents, when the sport's most experienced drivers are expressing genuine concern. It signals something deeper than normal adaptation. Challenges Fernando Alonso's admission about high-speed tracks, losing their excitement points to a larger problem. If legendary circuits like Spa and Suzuka become less thrilling, what happens to F1's appeal? These tracks have defined the sport for decades, testing drivers' skills in ways that separate great racers from good ones. The FIA's confidence that fans will simply get used to it ignores a crucial reality. Modern F1 fans have alternatives, with other racing series pushing boundaries and creating exciting competition. F1 can't afford to become a slower, more artificial version of itself. But there's an even bigger concern lurking beneath the surface. The FIA admits they don't have complete data from all teams, meaning some squads might struggle even more than projected. We could see the same domination pattern that plagued the 2014 hybrid era, where Mercedes had a 5-year head start. However, there's one aspect of this story that nobody's talking about, and it changes everything. Here's what makes this situation truly unpredictable. We're heading into uncharted territory with split driver opinions and incomplete data. While some drivers like Hamilton embrace the challenge, others like Leclerc and Alonso have expressed serious reservations. This division could create unexpected competitive dynamics. When 2026 arrives, the most intriguing question is whether the FIA's confidence is justified. They're betting that slower, more complex cars will still deliver exciting racing, but with limited simulator data and acknowledged gaps in team information. Are they making this bet with incomplete information? There's also the generational aspect nobody's discussing. Younger drivers coming into F1 might adapt more easily to these artificial systems, potentially creating a competitive advantage over experienced veterans who've built their careers on natural car feel and instinct. The real test will come in the first races of 2026. Will fans accept slower lap times if the racing improves? Can drivers maintain the same level of spectacular competition with more technologically managed cars? And most importantly, will this push toward artificialization attract new fans or drive existing ones away? What we're witnessing might be F1's biggest gamble in decades. The sport is betting its future on technology over pure speed, complexity over simplicity, and management over instinct. Whether that pays off will define Formula One for the next generation. The countdown to 2026 has begun, and the stakes couldn't be higher. What do you think? Are these concerns justified? Or will F1 successfully reinvent itself once again? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to stay ahead of every development in this evolving story, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on.